Thursday, August 17th, 2023. Can I have a roll call, please?
Commissioner Chair Joseph Harris,
Present.
Commissioner Enrique Ortiz,
Here.
Commissioner Emily Drilling,
Here.
Commissioner Michael Jimenez,
Present.
and vacant emergency.
And for the pledge of allegiance, please. Position pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. This is the part of the meeting where we have the community participation forum. And you don't have anybody at this time?
No.
Well, we will dismiss as item number 3, if it's okay, and go to consent calendar. The following items are presented to the commission approval without discussion of a single agenda item in order to expedite the meeting. Should a member of the Recreation and Parks Commission wish to discuss or disapprove an item, it must be dropped from the blanket motion of approval and considered as a separate item. This item A, approval of the minutes of Parks and Recreation Commission meeting, regular meeting of May 2nd, 2023. Looking for a motion of approval.
Make a motion to approve.
We have a motion and a second.
I'll second.
Motion and second. All those in favor of approving the minutes, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Approved. Thank you. Move down to regular business, item number 5. Boys and Girls Monthly Update, and she's here already. Perfect timing.
Thank you. Okay, well, summer's over. We had about 60 kiddos attending daily. We did a hurrah the last day of summer. We rented a bounce house, a water bounce house. Kids had a blast. How's the grass, Hannah?
It's okay.
I was like, oh my gosh, the grass. So we did that, and now we are currently open on both sites, Mackenzie and Mary Buren. Mackenzie right now is at 60, and Mary Buren, our capacity is 160, but we have about 140 kiddos enrolled right now. That's for our ACES site. For the summer, we were actually open from 7:30 to 5:30, Monday through Friday. We provided breakfast and snack for them for the summer, and then for our ACES sites, we do snack only. Facility use, the women and infant mobile care still comes in, and they park over by the park, and if the adults need to use the restroom, they're allowed to use the restroom still. Overall, the club is looking pretty good. Any questions?
Commissioners?
Yeah, I have a question. Can you elaborate a little bit about the academics? What did you do during the summer?
For the summer, we actually did art, we did sports. And for the academic part, we didn't really focus on the reading part, but we did have reading time. Staff members would sit with the kiddos and read to them. And then she would also have kiddos participate, because there was a few kiddos that really needed the reading, and that's what we were focusing on the most. So we weren't doing really math or any science. The science was mostly for STEM. We did solar ovens. They did the egg drops. They had to cover an egg and drop it from the playground because we couldn't get a ladder. So we had to improvise. But yes, for the academic part, we had kiddos read. But I mean, the books that we have are not like 3-letter words. They were like 4-letter words and on. So we had a lot of kids struggling. We also have Dan. He's part of the trilogy, and I asked him that I need books for the younger kiddos because that's what they need, at least the 3-letter words, so they can sound it out and put them together.
You don't have money for books in your budget?
Yeah, we do, but Trilogy is the one that is bringing all that in, because they're the ones that want to be in charge of it. So we asked Dan to do that. That way that he doesn't know, well, why are you bringing these books? 'Cause I also brought other books from the library here. He's like, oh no, those are worn out, so you can pass those out. I'm like, okay. So yeah.
In terms of the kids that you said that some of the kids needed help with reading,
Yes.
how did you identify those?
We would do reading with the kiddos, so the staff member would sit with their kiddos and she would read to them. And then she would say, hey, can you read this for me? And that's how she assessed them. So there was maybe from the younger kiddos, we had about 10, and those 10 were always taken to the library at a certain time, so they can be reading to them and they can read as well to the teachers. But I mean, we just needed those books, the 3-letter books that we needed.
Quick question, anybody else? That's the green, I'm sorry, I missed everything. Thank you. So, item number 6, the adult volleyball league.
So this year, this was already approved last year, but we didn't run it because no teams registered. The biggest issue that we had with. Oh, I thought you were telling me to stop. The biggest issue we had, or at least from the feedback that I got, was the amount of females that needed to participate. And what we're gonna end up doing for all the leagues is just have it be open leagues. There's just not enough female participation to be able to run leagues, and there's so many people that do want to play, males that want to play. So having that as like a requirement has just caused a lot of issues. So what we'll end up doing is advertise it as an open league, and that there's no requirement for females, but any females that do play are playing at their own risk, basically. Which they all have to sign liability waivers regardless, so it's not really a huge issue. The registration deadline is September 1st. I've been posting it on Facebook, on Instagram, on You Knew You Grew Up in Guadalupe. The managers meeting will be September 6th, and then the resident fee is $380, and the non-resident fee, team registration fee is $495. Let me double check to ensure there's nothing else. Each roster has to have a minimum of 9 players and a maximum of 15. To be considered a resident team, you have to have 5 players with proof of Guadalupe residency. It's been posted in both English and Spanish. And then once we get a little bit closer to the end of the month, I'll post something on the marquee. Other than that, that was more of just like an update on where we're at with that. I don't have any registrations as of right now, but I've heard at least from some of the people that come to drop-in volleyball that they're trying to put teams together. So hopefully we'll get that going. The last game would be, it's an 8-week season, so I think it would be like in October sometime. So I'll still be here to be able to run the full volleyball league if it ends up happening. That's pretty much it. I don't know if you guys have any questions on it at all.
I did get a couple of calls, they were asking about it.
Okay, that's good.
And I said, oh, good. There was some interest this year.
And a lot of people from softball, actually, I took the flyers out there for the games. Even they were like, oh yeah, like that sounds fun, we should do that. So yeah, that's it on that one, unless you guys have questions.
Hope it takes off.
If we don't have enough for a league, were we still gonna explore the option of doing like a tournament or something like that?
That's definitely doable. I think what I can probably do is just by September 1st, if there's no registrations, then I'll just start reaching out to the people that come to drop in and let them know that we'll have a tournament instead. I should be able to, I already have a template for tournaments because of the dodgeball tournament. So I should be able to do a staff report pretty quickly and turn that around. Yeah.
And then you can advertise that.
Mhm.
Add it, and maybe we can live stream it or something if somebody knows how to.
Oh, the tournament?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, that would be fun.
Mr. Slingus is able to do stuff like that too. I don't know.
His job is growing.
But yeah, that would be great if we get some more volleyball going. Any more questions? If not, shall we go to item number 7? Commissioner vacancy. Anna?
So for that, sorry, I'm trying to pull something up right now. So, at not the August 8th meeting, but I believe it was July, the last meeting in July. I brought the agenda item about Trevor to this council and, I think it's after 2 meetings of not showing up that you're no longer a commissioner anymore. Which I wasn't even aware of that. So they had told me that, yeah, he was already going to be removed. I reached out to him and let him know. Before that happened, I had asked him if there was if he had like a reason, and it was more just because he said that he was really busy, so. So I already posted, it's in the rec, display case, and it's also on Instagram and Facebook and on, you grew up in Guadalupe. That we're seeking a Recreation and Parks Commissioner for a 4-year term that would end in September 2026. The interested party must be a Guadalupe resident and be able to attend monthly meetings first Tuesday of the month. For anyone that is watching the live right now, as you can tell, this is a Thursday. So sometimes it just depending on the schedule can be a special meeting on another day. So just being available for a meeting sometime in the month, but they're usually on the first Tuesday of the month. They have to submit a letter of interest no later than September 29th of 2023, and they can do it by mail. And the address is listed on the posting, or they can submit that to me through email at hsanchez@ci.guadalupe.ca.us. And I just posted it today, so I haven't gotten anything back yet. But I know that I've heard some people are interested, so we'll see.
And there's no fee for that, right?
No, it's free.
Yeah, there's no fee. It's free. That's the flag.
I have a question. Who makes the determination in terms of who gets chosen for it?
The council does. So, once I think I wait until the deadline, which was, what was it, September 29th? So then at the, whatever meeting, it follows that day, which would be like October 8th or something. At that meeting, I would bring whoever applied into a staff report, and then the council would review all the letters of interest, and then they, from there, would decide who they want to pick. But I believe on the letter that it says that they're supposed to attend that meeting, because if council wants to ask them any questions or kind of know more about their background, they should be there to kind of answer those questions or whatever council would like to know.
Is this okay if we refer them to the council at all? Or just the council? Is this where we refer them to the council? Like a certain group, a number of people that we would think would be good?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. Is there any other questions on the vacancy? No.
I think he's covered it. He's covered it. And do you want to introduce anybody right now, or?
No,
Okay.
there's interested parties that are here, so I don't want to put them on the spot because I haven't received letters of interest yet, so.
Okay. I will stop.
I vote for whoever's there.
We have to refer them, we can't vote.
They won't listen to it.
Okay, but that's it. I think we covered that item. Let's go to item number 8. Youth Evolution Sports.
Okay, so one of the biggest things, and this has been even since my job was posted, the goal has always been to bring more youth programming for rec here to Guadalupe. The only issue, which we've talked about a lot, is that we just don't have the staff to be able to run things safely or the resources, honestly. So that's why we partnered with Boys and Girls Club, and I'm looking at partnering with other groups. So Youth Evolution is a group that I worked with when I worked at SLO County YMCA. So they offer classes and camps, and the good thing about that is it doesn't interfere at all with the existing leagues, because that's a whole other thing. The leagues are actually teams playing each other in games, where Youth Evolution just focuses on classes and camps to try to help them improve so that when they get into a league that they know how to play. So I'll have to ask them because I can't remember what the age ranges are, but I'm pretty sure it's kindergarten through junior high, I believe. So they have sites, they're really, really popular, actually. They have sites in Paso, Pismo, AG, Santa Maria. I think even Cuyama. So they're pretty spread out and they do amazing. I've been to their camps and their classes and they're so good with the kids. And even more like on the admin side, they background check all their people, they do live scans, they make them be CPR, first aid, AED trained. So they're really, really on it. And I spoke with them already and they're gonna be coming out. They're gonna start Youth Evolution Soccer. So again, for anybody listening, I will be contacting them, or I contacted them today about flyers. But they've already scheduled out that for soccer, they'll be out at Jack O'Connell Park. It's on Tuesdays from 3:30 to 6:30. Tuesday, September 19th, 26th, October 3rd, and October 10th. So basically it starts September 19th and then it's every Tuesday until the last one, which is October 10th. And then for basketball, they'll be starting Friday, September 22nd, and then do every Friday until October 13th, from 3:15 to 5:30. So hopefully I can get a flyer from them by tomorrow. And if not, I had offered to that if they haven't had time to put one together, that as long as they send me the information, I can put it together for them. So that'll be a really exciting addition to what's already here and providing more youth services. Cause I know even just looking at you grew up in Guadalupe and Facebook comments, that's what everybody says, even like on the adult league postings, they'll.
Them and take care of that, because when we were doing the book league, the Bobcat League was active for the kids.
Yeah, and that's the other thing, it's kind of like a tangent item, or actually I'll wait, cause it's another agenda item anyway, so I'll just wait on that one, but, yeah, so I'm pretty excited about this, I think it's good, given that number 12 is going to be happening, I'm excited that there's a group that has everything kind of like set already, so all they have to do is rent out the facility. And they're really interested in being here because they want to expand and grow more. And I believe one of them had even said that one of their teachers, I don't think he's like an admin person, but one of their teachers is from Guadalupe or grew up in Guadalupe. So they're really excited about coming over here.
And I have a question.
Yeah.
Is there a cost behind this? A cost?
So, for this first set, I didn't charge them just because we didn't have the rec cost in place yet.
No, I'm
Or are you
asking-
talking about for
Yeah,
the
they
registration?
charge.
Oh, yeah, so they do, that is a great question. Let me see if I can pull it up really quickly. They have a website too for anyone that wants to check out what they do and where they offer things. Let me see. Youth Evolution. So there's Youth Evolution basketball and then Youth Evolution soccer, but they also, I'm pretty sure they offer flag football as well. Yeah, so they have flag football too. Sorry, I'm just looking through this.
Kind of a tangent off of this one, Hannah, do we have a document? I know that always comes up, like we want more youth sports. We have Bulldogs, football, cheer. I know that the Bobcats are doing things. Boys and Girls Club has several leagues. Do we have all of our consolidated youth recreation sports in one document? So when people ask, we can actually show there is quite a bit going on in the community. They just might not know about it.
We don't, but that is a great idea and I definitely will put that together.
We've been working on that for a couple of years.
Oh,
I
do
feel
you
like
have
there's
one
kind
already?
of a lot.
That's what we kind of wanted to get started up, where we can go, if somebody came in town, they can just pamphlet, and they can see every recreational facility or activity that goes on where it's at.
Because it might be helpful as we're partnering with Youth Evolution too, to identify gaps in areas that maybe a skill's not being offered, but then not replicating services that are already in existence.
I can also give you the flyer. We're gonna start, our basketball league,
Nice.
and registration starts next week on Monday, and it's free for all Guadalupe students.
Nice.
Yes, that way you can put it on the social media pages as well.
What age?
Kinder through 7th grade, I believe.
Very good.
So just a little bit more background on Youth Evolution. I'm trying to, while I'm looking through this, find the price. They have a lot of information, but.
Well, my concern is that it's affordable for a lot of, farm worker families.
So I know they have financial assistance. Give me 1 second, I'm sorry. I know this in my head, I just didn't write it down on paper, which I should have. Let me see. Sure.
Kind of a question for Boys and Girls Club. I know there's a large signal demand on social media, like we want youth sports. Do you find that there's that same, like, people actually registering when you're offering activities?
Most of our registration comes from Santa Maria and Orchid, because the league is Orchid, Santa Maria and Guadalupe. But
Okay,
what we're seeing here in Guadalupe, not sure how it's going in Santa Maria and Orchid, but here in Guadalupe, it's the way we register, because before it was on paper, and it
mhm.
was easy, but now they have to go online, and they're having trouble, they can't log in. And I tell them, go to Ron Estevillo and we'll help you out, and if something's wrong with their account, yeah, so that's a little tougher. And we also have parents that, well, don't write, don't read, and if they want to do, register their kiddos, then we do their account for them. Yeah, and then we also tell parents, if your kiddo is an ACE student, they already have an account. All they have to do is get the information that we have, they put the same information when they log in the first time, that way they don't do a duplicate account, because then we'll have 2 kids with 2 different accounts, yeah. So I think that's a little tougher because it's not on paper, because
Did we have to transition without that accessibility component? of the
We
paper?
actually have on paper, but those are for special cases, that's in, like, parents don't know how to read or write, and they don't know anything about computers, then we do it for them. We just get the consent, and if they have trouble, then they come to us, and then we'll see what's going on, and then they get granted the access to have their own account and go in there whenever they want.
Do you feel like people are confident enough to ask, like, or do you think that's a barrier
Well,
right
for me,
there?
since I'm always in the front here on Mary Buren, I always tell them, if you need help, let me know. If you need help, let me know. Ron, we're not getting any footage right now because the school just started. So right now we're averaging maybe like 3 kiddos from Mary Buren. The rest of the kids are from junior high. They go in and shoot ball. But when we do get parents, they're like, well, I'm interested, but I don't know how to access the computer. Or I don't have access to the computer. Then we help them out. Yeah.
They can't register on their phone.
Yeah, the phone's a little more complicated because when we see something different than what you see. So when you're like, well, it looks like this, well, it doesn't look like this on my end. So yeah, that's the only difficult part of it. But yes, it's gonna be free for all of the beginning school district students.
And then Youth Evolution, I was able to pull this up. So for their classes, it's a 5-week session for $98. And like I said, they do offer financial assistance. I personally feel like that's pretty affordable. It also comes with a complimentary jersey too. So when you take that into consideration, I think that's pretty affordable.
So pretty affordable is all relative,
Yeah.
Right, but they still offer financial assistance to
What
people,
does that
so.
mean, like reduced rates for,
Mhm.
depending on
It just depends on their income. They have like a whole.
a sliding scale type thing?
I'll have to ask them more about the
Please do.
financial assistance
Criteria.
aspect.
Yeah. I hate to see any of the kids that can't afford it really missing out, especially if it's Guadalupe. It's facilities that the city owns, we need to have everybody accessible.
I'll talk to them about that. So it's $90 for a 5-week session. It comes with, like I said, the complimentary shirt And then they have, like a variety of time slots that you can, sign up for, just because everybody's schedule is different. And that's the same for soccer and for basketball. But I'll talk to them to see if they can either just like right off the bat offer a lower rate, cause like I said, they haven't put together the flyers or anything yet, so they haven't advertised it. So I'll talk to him, I'll give him a call tomorrow and ask him if maybe they can just start at a lower rate in general.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm. Was there any other questions about that? I'm on the website, so I can pull up more stuff. Let's see the FAQ.
Anybody else?
No, just, just all about advertisement.
Mhm.
That's what, if you don't advertise and you get and it's footwork advertisement too.
Mhm.
Cause you can go through all the social media, then they still don't. You put the flyers in the storefronts and in their air gold, yeah.
Yeah.
And I told them that already, because I said that even just for rec, we post all the time nonstop and we still don't get people coming out.
I see it. And well, poor Hannah, I know she's.
I always like, I know the lady behind that post, like she's trying so hard.
So the age groups are, baby ballers is 2 to 3.5-year-olds. Level 1 is 4 to 5-year-olds.
Wow.
I feel like
Level two.
chaos.
So for those ones, I've been to those ones and it's more just focusing on like
Yeah.
learning hand-eye coordination. Like they're not trying to be crazy out there with them or anything.
Cute.
Um,
Yeah.
level 3 is 8 to 11-year-olds and level 4 is 11 to 13-year-olds. So it's like pre-K through junior high, basically.
Well, I mean, if you look at it, when kids do go to camps, they usually have to go to far away, LA or these big camps, and you look at it, you have to drive over there, you might have to get a hotel and all that stuff, so you actually do save a lot of money, and then, and you have the opportunity that's in your hometown to participate.
And then they also offer, summer camps and 3-day camps. So, they haven't talked with me about setting any of those up yet, but I'm sure it's just because it's already past that point. Let me see if there's anything else that it says. That's most of the basic stuff. And again, if anyone's watching and you have questions, they have a whole FAQ section on their websites for both youth evolution basketball and soccer. And it's pretty detailed. They also have their contact information on here if you want to contact them directly and ask them anything. But until we have it set up, if you have any questions, you're more than welcome to call the rec office or send me an email and I can pass those questions on to them. That's pretty much it for that, unless you guys have any other questions or would like me to ask them anything else.
Yeah, I just appreciate you asking them in terms of the cost, because even with a family that has 2 or 3 kids,
That's
Yeah.
true.
if there's any discounts.
Yeah.
2 children, 3 children.
Yeah, because like in football, and we charge the least, and sometimes you got 3 kids, that's $600.
Mhm.
The other leagues, they charge like 350, so they're paying
Per?
per kid,
Kid.
and they're paying, and they're paying $1,000.
Ooh.
Orchid's just short shy of 500 for cheerleading.
Discounts.
There isn't one,
Yeah.
but we're trying to keep ours affordable.
So your insurance, you guys have insurance, right? So that's where a lot of the cost goes.
Yes.
Insurance, league fees, uniforms, all that.
No, I get it. I mean, things cost, but I'm just trying to.
No, yeah, I understand your concern. I definitely will talk to them about it. Anything else?
That's pretty good. Thank you, Hannah. Let's move on to item number 9, Allen Hancock College Community Classes.
So I reached out to Alan Hancock, I think it was like 3 months ago now. Just wanting to know if there is more classes or if there was classes in general that they could offer here, because I was not aware that they actually already offer classes over in, Riverview. But No, I had no idea. They basically had said that one of the biggest concerns that they had heard from the residents that were wanting to take those classes is that it's too far, because a lot of them live on this side of town, like in downtown, which I know. There's a bus that goes over there too, but
Yeah.
I think it would help though in general to bring more business to downtown to have the classes
Yeah.
there.
It's good.
So I talked with them and they offer community classes, so they're free. You literally just register online and there's no cost. So the ones that we're talking about right now are, mostly, senior oriented. So there's a, mobility. Oh my goodness, I can't remember what it's called. There's a mobility one, there's a meditation one, there's a watercolor one, and these are open to all. I think it's, I'll have to ask them if it's open to all ages or if it's just 18 and up, but it's not that it's, you have to be a senior to register for that class. It's just they're more senior oriented. The watercolor, the sketching class. And then on top of that, that's kind of what we're working on initially to try to bring, hopefully, this winter. But outside of that, I also asked them about credit courses, because even though there's a cost to those, there's a lot more that they offer. They offer like dance classes, they offer art classes, music, all that kinds of stuff that honestly, unless I am just not hearing about that, I don't really see that a lot here. I think the only thing that I've seen in regards to like music is there's a individual that offers violin lessons, I think. But outside of that, I haven't seen a whole lot of that type of activity. So I'm hoping that I'll have all of those agreements finalized with them before I leave. Which the community classes I definitely will, but the credit ones are the ones that I'm more trying to speed the process up a little bit, so that way I can get it done before I leave. But if there's any classes that either you personally think would do well here, or you think the community would be interested, definitely let me know and I can reach out to them and ask them about those. More of the credit ones that I would like to bring are the, there's one for GED.
Yeah.
There's another one for, I think it's like citizenship, citizenship classes. And like I said, there's like a really, really broad range of credit courses. There's even like auto body shop ones that I think could be popular here. It's just a matter of facilities, which that's more what I'm working on right now. But I think that they're really on board and they do want to bring stuff out here. So it's just a matter of getting it all down on paper and approved by council.
One thing I think would be really beneficial, because I see a really significant skill gap, is just some basic computer skills.
Yeah.
Not anything crazy, like we're not teaching anybody how to code or anything, but just like, how do you operate a basic internet system as more and more things are going online? I'm worried as like more entities are going that direction, we are alienating a large portion of our community if we don't help bridge that skill gap, so.
The only thing that's hard about that is, when I talk to them about those type of courses, most of the time the facility provides the computers, which we don't have a facility that has computers. So that would be the only thing. I know that they did say that there are grants available if you offer those classes and you have proof that you're going to be providing those courses to the community, you can get a grant to provide those computers. So I can look into that.
That'd be great. That'd be.
Cause I'd even say like, even, you know, like long-term, like getting a computer lab set up for accessibility, but even in the short term, like if they could roll up with a few Chromebooks and
Oh,
just
yeah, that's
teaching
true.
that basic, and then not even needing internet, you could run a hotspot because they're not gonna be streaming and stuff, so. I would think they'd have access to something that could be mobile, but
Mhm.
long-term, I agree, like access to a computer lab would be great.
Another thing is they are fully willing to pay to rent out our facilities, so that's nice. So we're offering free community classes, but we're also getting revenue in from those uses. that is pretty much it for that. I would recommend if you have time, going on the Hancock website and just looking through those classes and seeing if you think that there's any that stand out to you, and then just shoot me an email of a list, or even if it's just one, just so that I can look into that and try to get those going over here. Any questions?
No, I'm just saying, I'm thinking about what you said in terms of what we think, would be good. I really like to find out what the community wants,
Mhm.
doing a survey if we could somehow. I don't know if that's even possible, but.
We can do a survey, so it's more of like a smaller survey, but we're gonna be doing a Halloween movie night. So I just did a poll on Instagram. So I definitely can do that, and even outside of Instagram, there's other survey polls that you can do. I think more though, getting your guys' input just initially, and then throwing it out to the public saying like, are these
Yeah.
classes that you'd be interested in? Just because there's so many classes that it would be hard to kind of narrow it down. Cooking classes, ooh, yeah, that would be good.
Eating classes. That sounds great. And comments, Commissioner? No. Item number 10. This is gonna be interesting.
Mhm.
The facility use agreement with Bellevue Union School District.
So,
You're trying to walk a fine line here, I get it.
There's none.
Just spit it out.
so the council had requested that we do a facility use agreement with the school district because of how much they use the gym for volleyball and basketball. Todd and I met with Dr. Handel on, I think it was Friday of last week or Thursday of last week. He is not wanting to do a formal agreement. I'm trying to choose my words carefully, I'm sorry.
What's his rationale? We're not wanting to do a formal agreement.
What's his rationale?
Yeah.
He basically just said that he wants to keep it status quo and he doesn't really see a need for us to do an agreement. Which I don't fully agree with that, because his logic is that both the school district and the city have procedures in place for renting facilities, but the only difference is that there's so much more involved in what they do when they use it than there is for like a rental that would just be like a day rental. So one of the biggest concerns that I had and told him is that we don't have the staff to be able to maintain the floor every day, and that was one of their biggest concerns last year, was that the floor was too slick, which they also did not assist with compensation of resurfacing the floor, which he had asked specifically for the invoice for that, and then I think maybe that's why he kind of was wanting to go in a different direction. So after I had sent him the invoice, he sent back an email saying that he's talked with other school districts to find out how they maintain their floors without having to resurface them so often. And I do understand one of his concerns, which is that gym is used for so many things that when there are parties, it does not damage the floor, but it does make it to where we would have to resurface it more often. But at the same time, they're majority of the use. They use it Monday through Thursday. And then sometimes now with Mackenzie Wrestling, now they use it for tournaments sometimes on Saturdays as well. So that's my biggest concern. And especially because he agreed to pay $50 per visit, which I think was a total of like $5,000, because he averaged it out to 100 visits, and then just said that if there was any additional visits, they'd pay the $50 per visit. But that, it really doesn't cover the cost of how they're using it, because when you take into consideration Myra's time for coordinating the schedule, maintenance time for cleaning the floor, maintenance supplies, electricity, which like, it's not that much, but just adding everything up, $50 really doesn't cover it. And it's not like they're just using it for like an hour. They have multiple teams that practice. So I believe, Monday through Wednesday is, I think it's 3 o'clock to 5:30 is when they practice, or 5:45. And then Tuesday and Thursday, are game days, and those are blocked out from 5 o'clock to 8 o'clock. So the other thing, which isn't really my bigger concern, it's kind of like just a little side note, is that prevents other people from being able to rent it out. Which one of the other concerns last year, or not concerns, but feedback that I got from the community was different nonprofit basketball teams that were wanting to rent out either Leroy or the auditorium, and there was just no space or time for them. So when you take that into consideration, you're limiting who else can use the gym. And they also want priority over all other programs that are going on. Which that's why I really think that we need an agreement, not just because of the compensation aspect, or even like the logistics of like who's gonna open up, who's gonna provide security, or not security, like an athletic trainer or some type of, not like a paramedic, but somebody that could respond to an emergency situation if they had to. Which that was another thing that he didn't really agree with. His thing was that he said other schools don't provide, which they don't, but the only thing that I asked if he would be willing to do is provide one if there's like a tournament or if there's multiple teams there. If it's just 2 teams, then whoever the coaches are should be responsible for their own teams. But if there's like 5 or 6 or 7 teams there, that's a lot of kids to have all in one space. So I think there should be someone there. But then to that, he answered, well, Guadalupe Fire is right there, so why can't they do that?
I just think at some point in time, I guarantee the school district is in business relationships with the Boys and Girls Club, the cafeteria. They have multiple entities that they're in business with. And it's because there's mutually agreed upon rules that are associated with the business relationship. And we're agreeing to them and they're agreeing to them. And at some point, just not charging, it's not about the money, but it's about the fact that every time we give to one, we take from another. And you can't tell me the school district is not postured to be able to sign an MOU in order to facilitate their use agreement. So the second part of that is the city gonna say no more? Because at some point, they're gonna keep taking until we say no more. And I think that that's where I'd wanna know is the city gonna say, we're not gonna continue a relationship that is not benefiting the community?
I think with the new council members that are here, that I don't think we're gonna allow that to happen, because that's what I've been hearing at every single council meeting is, when are we gonna get the facility agreement going? When are we gonna get the facility agreement going? So I'm hoping that, and that's one thing that after we came out of that meeting, I had mentioned to Todd, you're gonna have to, in your report, mention that he does not want an agreement, and we're gonna have to see what the council wants to do with that, because I think the whole thing of this handshaking type of agreements, I just don't think that that's in the city's best interest. We could get in trouble, honestly, if something were to happen and they were to say, well, we were using the city's facility, even if they were the ones at fault. If we don't have an agreement in place that outlines who's supposed to be doing what, then they could easily just say, well, that wasn't our responsibility.
I think we're just accepting a lot of risk by not having an agreement. Do I agree that the kids need access? 100%. But we're accepting so much risk by not having an agreement. And if a lawsuit comes down or somebody gets hurt, or, any number of things can happen when you start bringing in a ton of people into a facility. I think that I don't wanna wait till it's too late, and so my recommendation would be like, we need to press and say, either we get an agreement or you cease use because it's no longer in the best interest of the city or the kids utilizing the facility. But I think allowing it to passively continue, I don't agree with that.
And I don't think that we were coming off that way, but at least the way that I felt he was perceiving it was that we don't want them there, and that's not what it is. What you were just saying, like, it's not that we don't want them there. I want them there. I know that that's like the only kind of youth sports that are going on. So obviously I do want them there, but I agree,
liability is
just
too
echoing.
much.
Mhm.
I just don't want a child to get hurt, and I feel like that these parents are trusting their kids with the school and they're trusting that they're coming to a safe facility.
Mhm.
And when we have zero policy and guidance in place, I feel like it just creates a lot of vulnerability that something bad could happen. And I would hate to see something happen to a child because we continued on status quo. So I think that maybe just making a strong recommendation back to Todd that they set a deadline and say either we get an MOU in place or we're gonna have to stop usage because it's just no longer in the best interest of the children of our community.
Mhm.
Commissioners, you agree? We're all in favor. Yes, let's let them know.
Is Todd drafted it at this point?
So we had drafted, originally it was supposed to be a joint use agreement, but the only reason why we went away from that is because we don't use any of their facilities.
Right.
We have all of our own facilities that we can utilize. The only one that I had asked potentially about was their soccer fields, but then that's when he was saying that if it's not city and it's, cause it would be, city, oh my goodness, what is it called? The Santa Maria Soccer League, it's called, oh my goodness, I cannot remember off the top of my head. No, it's like a,
Private club.
yeah. I know the person that is the director of that soccer organization, and he wants to bring the youth league out here. But his only apprehension is that he wants to use Mackenzie Field instead of O'Connell because of the gopher holes. So when I had brought that up to Dr. Hendel, that's when he had said, well, if it's a third party, then they can just rent it out through our facility rental process. So there's not really a need for a joint use agreement. And that's what we had originally drafted. So now it would just have to be either an MOU or just like a facility use agreement, which I have just like a general draft that we can work off of, but it's just a matter of getting them to agree to terms and
Yeah.
sign an agreement.
Well, a facility use agreement, in my vision is that it's just kind of like, one-time thing, you use it or what. So MOU makes more sense than to me. And just outlining the parties and the responsibilities and roles and whatnot. And of course, the cost, that's a big
Mhm.
factor.
Yeah, definitely. I agree.
And do you have an idea what it would cost to maintain? I mean, in terms of, you said $50 doesn't cover it. What does cover it,
I know even just the invoice to resurface was like $12,000. Or what's it, 12? No, 6. I'm sorry. I was thinking of, if we were to do it twice, it's $6,000 to resurface the
How
floor.
often do you do it?
Once a year is definitely not enough with the amount of use, and especially with how they want it to be. It should be like 3 times a year. But then when I had brought that up to them, that's when he kind of came back, well, you guys use it too, though, and which is true, like, he's not wrong.
I think you could do the math though, and just say like, if there was 1,000 hours of utilization per every $6,000, then they would, and if they occupied 800 hours of that 1,000 hours, they would be responsible for 80%. Like, I think that you could do the math in a way that they're not gonna feel like they're quote paying for somebody else's utilization, but they're gonna pay their fair share of what their utilization was, and it would probably be a pretty simple calculation in order to do that.
I actually personally wouldn't mind the city covering it at least once, because what was it that he had said? He said that he believes that, we could just do it once a year and that with, what he's gathered on maintaining it, that if we maintain it correctly, then we should only have to use it, resurface it once a year. But the only issue with that is that he wants the city to put the maintenance janitorial upkeep for that. And my only, first of all, is cost, but number two is even anybody that rents the gym, they have to return the facility in the condition that it was before they left it. And to me, that means that if they're using it every day, that should be their responsibility to maintain the floor after their use. And that did, no, that did not happen last year. There was actually a couple times, and I brought this up to Dr. Handel in the meeting, where after a game, it was mostly after games, there would be like concession food all over the floor. There'd be water bottles, Gatorade bottles, soda spilled everywhere. And then our staff would have to come and clean it up because they wouldn't clean it up. There would be, cause I think they sell, I don't know if they sell pizza, but there would be like pizza boxes in the kitchen, trash just like completely full. So I think that's the other reason why I think we need an agreement, because they need to be the ones responsible for cleaning up after themselves. Yeah.
And I think maybe just mirroring, utilizing the Boys and Girls Club as an example. I feel like the relationship has significantly improved since everybody has clear guidance of what's expected of all parties, and just being able to say, we've moved that direction as a commission and a council, that if you're going to do business with us, we have to have roles and responsibilities, because otherwise that cost is transferred to the city, and it just goes back to when we give to one, it takes from someone else. So I think we just need to keep pushing for it. And, if he has a standard of facility that he wants, he's gonna have to get into an agreement in order to have that standard, because you can't force us to maintain it, but then not do anything in return. We can't even really get them to hand out flyers and stuff promoting recreation at the school. I mean, it is not a mutually beneficial relationship. So whoever's online. Commissioner Dryling's.
Whispers it.
No, but I think that it is. I mean, and even if it was a mutually beneficial relationship, we're not in the days of, I give you 2 horses and we take 2 goats. Like, we have to get legitimate business practices going. So
Exactly.
MOU.
I will definitely pass on all of that to Mr. Todd.
Shall we vote on that again?
MOU.
Go on record.
Yes, let it be known. Thank you, Hannah, for that update. Item number 11, September Recreation newsletter edition of the division.
So for September right now, I have, the volleyball league, drop-in sports, which for volleyball, the way that I set up the league was to have games be on drop-in night. So during the league, there wouldn't be regular drop-in. It would be in place of drop-in. And I think that would help, just because those that actually already are going to it already have that schedule of like, oh, it's Wednesday. So I think that should help. And then drop-in basketball would just continue on Fridays, or depending on rental schedule, Thursday or Friday.
For personnel to open it.
And then I briefly mentioned earlier, we kind of just threw it together. I think it was last week, we were talking about doing a movie night at Leroy Park. Cause we did the one here in the auditorium. I think it was for Halloween and then also for Christmas. But I think it kind of just makes it more like normal, just doing it inside, where doing it out at Leroy Park offers, you can go ahead of time and go take your kids and go play on the playground, and maybe go into Leroy and see what's going on with Boys and Girls Club, and kind of have that better connection with what's going on ahead of time. And then you can just sit back and relax, get a chair, blankets, whatever you want to do. Lobo Butcher Shop has been amazing in partnering with almost like all of our programs recently. So he actually came out to I forgot to put that on the agenda. I'll talk about it on number 13. The Adult Softball League Championship. So he went out and sold hot dogs, tri-tip sandwiches, jalapeno poppers. I forget what else, but a couple other items. And so when I had posted that we were doing a poll on what movies to show for the October night, he offered to do jalapeno poppers and wings. So he'll be at that event. And then there was also a lady that is a Guadalupe resident who sells desserts. She also came out to the softball game. I'm gonna reach out to her to see if she'd also like to attend that and sell her desserts at that. And then Rec would just offer popcorn, probably for free. The kernels are not expensive. Most of the time I just buy them with my own money and then that's my donation to the city. So that would be on Friday, October 20th, which I just started putting together the flyer for that. And I'll probably post it sometime soon and then post it again when I put the newsletter out. I'm trying to think. Fiestas Patrias, I know is not technically a city event, but I always put it on the newsletter too. So that this year will be, I believe it's the 16th and the 17th. Because I know it's a Saturday, Sunday. I just can't remember what days it falls on.
And it's the parade, right? Are they doing
So-
it this year?
Yeah, so it's gonna be, I can't remember if I posted it already.
I think I saw it.
It's posted in the display case, but I haven't, I thought I posted it.
Is it the Kiwanis if we want to sign up for the parade? Is that who put on the parade last year?
For the Fiestas Patrias is the Comité,
Okay.
and then for the Christmas one is the Kiwanis Club. Sweet. Oh, here it is. So it is a 2-day celebration. So it's Saturday, September 16th and Sunday, September 17th. So for Saturday, I believe that is when so they're gonna have the parade on Sunday. So Saturday would be an event. I'm pretty sure it's at Leroy Park. I'll have to double check with them, but it's from 12 to 5, and then that's where they'll have music and booths and dancers and stuff like that. And then on Sunday, they'll have the parade from 12 to 1, and then it'll end at Leroy Park, and from 1 to 5, it'll be kind of like a repeat of Saturday. And the contact for that, for anybody watching, if you have questions, is Jose Nichols. You can email him at comiteCivicoGuadalupe@gmail.com, and the flyer is on the Facebook page. I just haven't posted on Instagram yet. I'm trying to think of anything else.
If I send you a flyer, we're just waiting on our final schedule for Bulldogs, just with our home games.
I have the.
You have the official version? Grace sent me that. So, I'll put one with our home games. If anyone wants to come out and support, just
Yeah,
like
we
one
just-
flyer.
I just have one on September.
Okay.
So tentatively, it's gonna, not official, but it's almost official, it's gonna be on September 2nd.
Okay.
Starting games at 9 through 3 o'clock.
I'll put a flyer together. I'll send it to you.
Okay, sounds good. And then we'll also, I don't know if I should officially introduce him. This is Arnulfo, and he's gonna be, putting together a poetry jam for, October 13th. So I'll put that in the, September, newsletter as well. I don't know. Are you okay with talking about that a little bit, or?
Yeah. Hello, everybody. Over the last 2 years, I've been putting on some poetry jams over at the Guadalupe Cafe. And just looking to further that, I've gotten different members of the community, that are randomly come up to me like, you know what? I write poetry too. I was like, really? And from all different ages. And so that really excites me, because I know that this community has so much talent, but it doesn't always have the space for it, you know? So this is definitely, meant to be just an open space for the community and in all forms. Just show up, you know, and just like whatever you got. Yeah, just really excited to have this outlet. And excited to hopefully collaborate on more events with this community. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a question for you. Would you be still having it there at the Guadalupe Cafe?
So, it would be technically like a city sponsored event, so we'll hold it at the Veterans Hall. I don't know, did you wanna talk a little bit about like the setup, kind of like what you were thinking for that?
Yeah, I'm really grateful that Hannah had offered the Vets Hall, because previously it's been outside, and I feel like, you know, we all know quality cold. So, that and just having like kind of limited, it's not really limited because they're a full coffee shop, you know, it's great. But I know that for me, something really important is just like having control over atmosphere. And so just like setting a mood, you know, I'm really kind of trying to think this like of evening out so people don't have to, you know. And one thing that's always been on top of my mind is affordability. So we're planning on having just simple like coffee, hot chocolate, maybe some tea bags, for just some beverages at like $1. And then we're probably some buñuelos and esquites for like $1 and like $2, you know, something really like affordable, because that's really important for me. Just an aspect of all the events that I'm trying to put on, just so everybody can enjoy it, you know. It sucks when you're at an event and you're just like, if it costs just getting in, let alone like, well, great, now I don't have money for it. So definitely keeping all that in mind. Yeah, so looking forward to just looking forward to get the word out, because I know there's a whole bunch of time.
Good job putting that on. I know that's a huge endeavor, so that's awesome. You're bringing it to the community again.
Thank you.
Was there any other additions to the newsletter that you guys would like me to add?
When can we let you know what's the last time?
Let me see. August 23rd. No, wait, 22nd. So next Tuesday. Because that's when I submit it to the school district to put on their, what is it called?
Parent
Square, yeah. Did you have anything that you wanted me to add to the newsletter?
Just that we're getting kiddos at $60 for the whole school year, and there's also financial aid available.
And when does basketball league start?
Registration starts next week, and the league starts November, I believe.
Right.
Yeah,
Are you needing coaches?
yes.
Yeah, I need coaches,
Yes, we need coaches.
but I need up and about again.
Do you guys have flyers specifically like asking for coaches?
Yes, it's all included in the flyers for,
Oh, okay.
for here. Yeah, I can email.
Okay, perfect, thank you.
Make it to cheerleading
Thank you.
first. Kids are giving me a run for them.
If that's all for item number 7, thank you. Did we really go down this one?
We just skipped this one. We're all.
I can't see what it says.
Is this you? Henry?
Okay,
Yes,
yeah,
sir.
that's item number 12, resignation services manager. Let's hear it.
So, last Tuesday. Last Tuesday, I put in my resignation. It wasn't my 2 weeks notice. I'll be here until, definitely November 15th. If not a little bit longer. They just needed my soonest date that I would leave. It was nothing against the city. I love it here. I'm gonna really miss being here. My brother and I, it's more of like a family thing. We were always really close growing up, and then obviously just because of life, we kind of went our own ways. But especially now that he has kids, I just feel like he moved to Colorado, so I haven't been a part of their life like really at all. And he just got a job opportunity in Redding, California. So they just moved out there last week into their new house. And when he first had heard about the move, he had asked me to go out with him, and I kind of was on the fence, and I was like, I don't know, I don't want to leave, but at the same time, like I want to be over there with you guys. So it wasn't until Monday of last week that I finally decided that I was gonna go out. So I wanted to give you guys kind of that background, just so that I know a lot of people have been asking why I'm leaving, and I don't want rumors or like false information to go out about why I'm leaving.
Well, that happened anyway.
This is what we talking about.
Now, let me ask you, you're moving to Reading, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
You know it's hot as hell. over
I do. I love the heat. You can ask
Oh,
anybody that consistently
there.
comes in my
I've
office.
had this conversation.
They always are like, it's so hot in here. And I'm like, I know I'm cold. I just want to be hot.
Yeah, I remember that.
So I'm excited about
Well,
that.
actually,
Thank you. I appreciate that.
You've done so much, Hannah. Like when we like started recruiting for your position, like almost, I don't even know, 2 years ago, it was just like a concept, but no one really knew what the person was gonna do. And you've really taken
Yeah.
us and the city to like a whole new level. So no, you're leaving. We're super sad, but you've definitely left a legacy here, and we really appreciate all the work you've done.
It was very easy to support you when you were here.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And part of the reason why I did want to talk about this is just like in terms of transitioning out, what my plans are. Like I said earlier with some of the other stuff, I'm definitely trying to get all of this done before I leave, just so that it's set and no one has to worry about it further. But then for leagues, that's kind of where I'm more trying to figure out how to keep those going.
Yeah.
That's gonna be the hard one, because those were the ones where I didn't really get help from other people, not in terms of like helping with setting stuff up or like running the event, but in terms of like the back end admin side of it. I just really am brainstorming on how to set everything up in a way that if somebody did come into my position, that they easily could just be like, okay, like this is super easy.
Your template.
Mhm. So I'm doing SOP, standard operating procedures, for just in general, a lot of the rec and park stuff that I'm doing, but specifically on like how to set up like how I formatted certain things, how to set up registration. It's really not that complicated, because once I had the softball league happen last year, it's basically the same format for all the leagues, but it's just in terms of like keeping up with everything, making sure that everything's running smoothly. That's like the only thing that I'm kind of concerned about. We have a great referee assigner that does a lot of the work for us. So I've been in his ear every day telling him, please stay, like, please don't leave. We really need you here. He's a Guadalupe, resident, and his girlfriend, who does the, scoreboard a lot or not scoreboard, score in general for us. She's a Guadalupe local and resident. So, I think that they're on board with it. I know that in conversations that I've had with him, he's very much like, his heart is in the right place. Like he just wants there to be something for people to do here. So I don't foresee that being an issue. It's just more of like what I was doing. But like I said, I'm trying to kind of get it all written out so that somebody can easily just come in and take over. And the only thing that I'm worried about is that no one will come in
I'm sorry.
to the position. The only thing I'm worried about is that no one will come into the position and that things will kind of just
You haven't started the recruitment.
disintegrate. So the job description is already posted. And that was one of the things that I had asked is if I could stay and train this person, and they're totally on board with that. But I just,
When's your last day?
I don't know, November 15th.
And the meeting this we talked about it.
Todd has been in my ear.
Do you think as far as like the concern over someone not coming in, like that there's just not like an applicant pool or that?
I think if they, and one thing that I had recommended, and this is not like official for anybody that's listening, it's just something that I recommended, was to lower the education requirement. Because I think that someone with an associate's degree who's at least done English composition to be able to write staff reports and stuff like that, you don't really need, and not saying like that my degree didn't help me at all, but if you find the right person that is motivated and wants to see things thrive and they have an associate's, I don't see why they couldn't do it. So that was one thing that I recommended, because I think what ends up happening is people with bachelor's degrees that have experience in rec are not gonna come here because there's way better compensation than other places. So it's just, like I said, a matter of finding the right person that is just gonna have the heart for Guadalupe. I definitely have been pushing though for them to change the requirement to just an associate's instead. And
You can always lower their education but increase the experience.
that's true. Yeah, that's definitely true. And I think in terms of just in general in Guadalupe, I think what they need to do is recruit people that are trying to just gain experience. I think that's the best way that they're gonna find people. People out of Hancock, people out of Poly, just local people, but.
Care about the community.
Mhm.
I would say too, Hannah, like really take a look at the job description that's out there, having been involved with the recruitment of your position before you got hired, just making sure that what we're recruiting for is actually what the job entails. Cause I would hate for us to bring somebody on board and then what we said and what we're asking are very different. And then the other thing I would just offer, I know sometimes when we're like leaving a position, you don't always want to say like anything bad that's happened, but maybe just being very transparent on areas of, struggle that you've had, because I think that those lessons learned can help the next person going forward. And I would just hate for those to be lost, because I know you've had to fight a lot of battles that we probably have no idea had to happen. So I would just encourage you to provide that feedback to Todd to make sure that those struggles don't continue to the next person as you are on your way out the door.
Yeah, so when Todd and Teg, our HR manager, met together to talk about all of this, that was one of the first things that I said was, if you guys are recruiting for a recreation services manager, that's all it needs to be. Because if you try to recruit somebody as that title with that job description and then bring them in and have them do everything that I was just doing, I don't think they're gonna stay that long. It just depends on who it is, but even in general, those responsibilities don't belong under that job description. Because what ended up, if I were to make up my own title based off of what I did, it would be Rec, Parks and Facilities Manager. So what they were talking about in terms of moving forward, and again, this is all just brainstorming, nothing is finalized at all yet, is taking facilities and maintenance and putting it back under Public Works, because that's where it originally was. And then just having the Recreation Services Manager just focus on recreation. And then it would have to be more the responsibility of Public Works for the other responsibilities. I'm trying to think what else they were talking about with that. I think one of the main concerns though, is just funding. Because it was basically, I was funded through ARPA this whole time. So that's the only thing that I'm kind of concerned about. The only the only way that I see that being funded through general fund would just be getting more facility rentals and hopefully cannabis revenue. Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't know, is there anything that you would like me to pass along to council or
No, I
Todd
think
or?
you just touched on it in terms of being realistic about the job description itself, you know, because you're right. Somebody comes in and looks at the job description, it doesn't match what the actual duties are, you're gonna have somebody leave in 6 months and then we're all back at square one.
Mhm.
But you said that the job description already went out, is that correct?
So they posted it and I didn't realize that they posted it already. I don't know if they just did it just to have it out there, kind of like as a concept that it's out there. But I know that I already sent him back a bunch of edits because I was like, this is not. I think he pulled the original one because it said that it was only funded until June 2023. And I was like, you need to change that like immediately because if somebody's gonna look at that and be like, oh, this position's already not funded anymore.
Yeah.
And then even just in terms of some of the details, it just was kind of vague on certain things, because I think it did say something about maintenance in the job description. I think they did edit it a little bit, because I remember there was certain things that were either added or removed, I can't remember. But I already have told both Teg and Todd that needs to be adjusted, because it needs to be an accurate reflection of what that person is gonna be doing.
I agree.
I think the only other thing I would say is if you could, you know, I know you're writing your SOPs and stuff, which I think will be helpful for the person coming in on understanding way forward, but like kind of going back to how much you've done already, maybe putting together like a historical timeline of like, this is when I stood up our newsletter, this is when I did our Instagram, our Facebook page, I started the dodgeball tournament, because you've done so much, but I think that it's important to capture like the timelines of how long it's taken to roll all this stuff out. So I know it would take you some time, but I do think that that's valuable history to pass along to the next person.
Definitely, I definitely can do that.
Sounds great.
Okay.
Anything else on,
You will be missed. Yeah, definitely.
I'm gonna miss everybody, I'm so sad.
Don't go in and
I know.
Maybe you change your mind, they still haven't hired anybody.
That's what I mean, Todd keeps saying, you have until November to change your mind. Like, I know.
See you guys next month.
all right.
Bye.
The update.
It would be great if you could be on the hiring panel for the new
Oh,
person, because
mhm.
you have the best gauge
Yeah.
of what needs to, or the skill set somebody
One of you
needs.
folks.
Last time.
Everybody just laughs.
Oh, I'm definitely.
Yeah. I should be.
Come on, guys.
Parks and Rec. You pass that along.
What was that?
Volunteering to be on the selection committee.
Joe?
Mhm,
Oh, okay.
I would.
Go for it.
And there are a few people for the school too. It's kind of cool.
Anything else on that? Which I'll be around for a little bit longer, so we can always,
Change your mind.
No, what, 3 more meetings?
oh my goodness, don't put it like that. Jeez, I know. Oh, man.
Oh,
Oh,
already got, lunch
I
date's
know.
already lunch date. That's right.
yeah, I didn't have anything else on that.
Oh,
We could all start mourning.
We're all gonna wear black to my last meeting.
Or black bands and
Yeah,
stuff.
right. I think so.
Okay, let's go to other matter of importance.
So I want to bring up softball, the softball league and championship, because that was really, really awesome, honestly.
I saw some intensity up there.
That was my favorite part, I think, is how into it everybody was this year. Not that people weren't the first year, but I think just because it was the first year and we were kind of figuring it out, there was like a lot of just little issues here and there that kind of took away from just having fun and enjoying it. Where this year, I think because it was more organized and more established already, everybody just was out there playing, trying to be competitive, trying to get that trophy.
That's a cool trophy.
I was really surprised that I found one that was like that. I didn't even know, I knew that they made perpetual trophies, but I didn't know that you could, like, yeah, engrave like additional stuff. So that was really fun. There was 7 teams this year, which the first league, there was only 4. We barely had enough. And I actually, the only reason why I had a team that year was because we weren't gonna have enough teams to play. So I scraped together a team of like a couple city people, a couple of my friends. But then this year, everybody, because they already knew that it was coming,
Yeah.
there was people from Santa Maria that were wanting to join. There's a lot of actual Guadalupe residents that
Yeah.
played this year. So that was really exciting to see. And I think just seeing everybody out there for game days, and it didn't just bring the softball people out there, it brought soccer was out there playing, kids were playing on the playground. There's people at the horseshoe pits playing horseshoes. So that was really awesome to see. And then even just for the championship game, there was fans, they were like really into it and just cheering on their teams, and even just like the celebration aspect when my team won. Which was super fun. And one thing that I did want to point out for anyone that is watching, I did get some feedback saying that they felt that it was biased this year, which that was not my intention at all. And one thing that I have told to people that are saying that is we were just starting out. Like last year was the first adult league at all, and the first league, like rec league, that city has run in a while. So even just getting it up and off the ground was pretty difficult.
It's always hard to start.
Mhm.
What do you mean by bias?
So in terms of like the celebration and like things that were offered this year, it was just a lot more. So for the championship game this year, we had like an announcer, we had walk-up songs, we had, like I said, Lobo Butcher Shop out there. We had the trophy this year because we didn't have one last year. And so there was just some feedback saying that they felt like it was a little bit biased. And my answer to that is we had no idea we were gonna win. We were second place, not seated first, so it could have been anybody. And I planned all that ahead of time, so it's not like I was like, oh, I'm gonna wait until the day
At
of.
all. Like, it was a really great event. And nobody was like, you didn't pay a DJ. I mean, Garrett was a volunteer.
Mhm.
You know, Lobo, that was a really added nice feature to be able to eat. That cookie lady was amazing. I mean,
I
it was
think
a
it was
nice
super
event,
fun.
and I don't think it's biased. I think it's just evolving. You want to get better each year. You push, and next year it'll get even better.
Right,
They should be a mariachi, so.
Oh, that would be cool. Maybe I'll have to come back and volunteer a week of my
You have a
time.
legacy with that.
Yeah.
I know.
Hannah softball championship.
Fancy perpetual trophy.
Overall, though, I think it was really, really good. The season went really well. We didn't have any issues, honestly. Everybody kind of had that mindset of like, we're just here to have fun. And I think especially with the referee assigner that I was talking about earlier, he has that same mentality and he's very, very calm. So anytime that something came up where people were starting to get heated, he would kind of like de-escalate it and explain whatever their answer to their question or whatever was going on. So that's why I really, really want to make sure that he stays, because he really adds like a whole exactly. So yeah, I mean, I think it went really well.
Yeah, he was good at the championships. Was that the guy that?
Yeah.
He was like, keep it fair, you know, like he was really nice.
Yeah, and the good thing is that now they all kind of know him. So next year, hopefully the season or the league will happen again. And they already know, like, they listen to him, they respect him. So I think that adds or helps to make it more calm and more fun.
Yeah, it's for maybe next year, like that field, you know, even softball field, because the softball field has pretty bad team gets.
Mhm.
We get some soil out there, someone could just drag sand over it, the sand soil and cover up the post. It's pretty bad, even the softball goes bad.
Honestly, what it's probably gonna take is like multiple volunteer days of just having people out there just picking up rocks. And that sounds so tedious and annoying, but that's what's gonna have to happen because the dirt itself actually isn't that bad. It's just that there's so many rocks out there that you could easily catch a
Yeah.
ball in the face from it popping off of one of the rocks.
Sliding on the-
Mhm. And that too is sliding. That was why this year and last year, we actually didn't have sliding
That's good.
at all.
Yeah,
It's good.
But hopefully if we were to fix the field, then we could do sliding this next year. But yeah, that's a good point. We'll look into that.
so on the last thing for number 13, and I know it's kind of a hard time because, you left and then, the main city engineer position's gone, but, or waiting to be filled. But as far as moving forward with the presentation to city council on the ability to look at turf for the football field, did you have an opportunity to look at the PowerPoint proposal, and do you feel like it's at a position where we might be able to present?
I did look at it and yes, but my only thing with that is that I don't know if we have to ask Los Amigos if they can do that first, or if we can tell them. I'll have to ask Todd how that works. But I also have heard, and again, this is just like brainstorming, that they're trying to work on getting a grant administrator. And I think they're talking about also contracting, a grant, not like administrator, but like, not recruiter.
Writer?
I don't think it's a grant writer. I think
Like
it's
a
just,
company that will write grants on your behalf?
yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
I just know it's called, I think it's like Townsend. I forget what the actual name of it is, but at least from what Todd had told me, they look at what your community needs and then they go and find those grants for you. So I don't know if they write the grants for you or if they just find them for you.
Generally, they do both. They'll do the research and then they'll write the grant for you too, and then of course, at a percent. Based usually on the percentage of the grant, I don't know how they do it, but
Mhm.
that's typically how it's done.
So I don't know when the timeline of that is, so I definitely will work on that, like outside of that. But just in terms of like looking towards the future and being able to find more grants to fund that kind of stuff. I think that they see that there's a need there because there's so many grants that we could apply for, but the issue is just that we don't have personnel to be able to not write it, because the writing part of it is usually not the hard part. It's the following up, it's the keeping up on the reports, on the financial aspect of it too. And then making sure that all the money is going to the right parties, because depending on like who's getting it, some of the administrative fees. I know that they're still kind of working that out logistically, so.
But generally speaking, when you write the grant, you write those positions in.
Right.
So you have
Mhm.
a person doing all the reporting, but they're part of the grant, so.
And I think that's why we haven't been able to apply for a lot of stuff, because we don't even have somebody. We can't have somebody write it because that person can't follow up on it afterwards. So that's been the main issue. But I do think that they definitely see that as a need now, and they're going in that direction of trying to start getting those grants in.
So that's kind of with the proposal for the football field. I would say that what my ask would be is to get the city, not necessarily to direct a nonprofit to write the grant, but more say that we as a city support this concept. And then that next step would be us going to the nonprofit saying, as a city, we support this and we would like this to be our end state, is to have this field. Are you willing to partner in order to make that come to fruition? So I would kind of frame it to Todd, like we're not directing Los Amigos or any of the other grant or writers to take on this project. We're mostly just looking for the green light that they would support it. so we don't get to these nonprofits and then have to come back to city and then they say, no, we don't want this as our concept. So more looking, would they approve for us to go this direction? And then if they approve, then the next step would be finding the organization that would start writing, because I did put together that grant for the RERC and they sent me back like probably 25 different grants that we're eligible for, and a lot of them would fall in line with that. But I just need to figure out like, how can we make all that come to fruition? And so that would be maybe a whole nother conversation that is beyond a field. But if there's a need to expand some of these recreation, where could potentially, you know, some of us in the community that have done some grant writing, potentially volunteer our time to help bring some of these to fruition.
I agree with Emily. I think that's important, you know, because I have experience in grant writing, you have experience, I'm sure we all have touched them. And if we get together and form a committee, then I think it would be powerful, so we can maybe not do them all, but at least look at some that are, you know, would work with this community and then maybe go from there, you know what I mean? I don't know how that would evolve, but I think we gotta start somewhere.
Yeah,
We
definitely.
do this field, you know, it'll be definitely a gem for this community.
Mhm.
I mean,
Yes,
it'd be-
for
It'd be beautiful. I don't know if you ever been to War Memorial. And that's for the city, I believe, and it's beautiful. It's just, you know, it's used for football, soccer, you know, and everything. You know, you're saying people want to use it and other Santa Maria wants to use it and, you know, inspired other leagues here too, so.
Mhm.
It'll get plenty of usage.
And that definitely, I feel like would bring in more, business into downtown too.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That, you know, that field's there, oh, yeah, it's worthwhile and let's use it
Mhm.
in the stadium.
So, something we could be real proud of.
Yeah.
I know it's anything that I would want to bring up, for this point, but is there anything that you guys, other than what I mentioned already, would want to talk about?
Can you update us on Las Mujeres?
Oh, yes, let me see, we just got,
I'm assuming they named it. I don't know. Did they name it?
I feel like it served a
Um,
ribbon or something. A news article.
Did they accept our recommendation to name it Las Mujeres? Have we gotten that far?
cause I'm pretty sure I did a staff report on it, but I don't think they said anything.
You know what we meant?
I'll have to double back on the naming aspect of it, but, I can update you in terms of,
What's going on?
yeah, where we're at with that. Let me see.
Also the Royal Theater.
Oh, that one,
It looks beautiful.
Looking for bids?
let me see.
Maybe from bids or something like that.
I'll have to
I
ask,
guess that looks good.
I'll have to ask Todd more about that one, cause he actually has been, him and, Tom Brandaberry have been the spearhead for that. So I haven't honestly been included in a lot of those discussions or meetings. Let's see.
Should make that picnic. Fremont, I don't know if you've been.
Oh, yeah, been slow.
Yeah, so, you know, they take out rows of seats, so people have standing out front, yeah. So that makes it a lot better, a better venue.
So the,
For
oh,
seats.
wait, it's not right.
So they have- Taking out seats, you can fit more people.
So, moving forward, because Shannon left, Dwayne is now, the interim, Dwayne Chisholm is our interim public works director. He's the lead on the project at this point. Sorry, I'm, reading the minutes that we had from this.
When did Shannon be?
That's small.
July?
I didn't know that. You didn't know that?
I knew.
So currently the design team is working on the 75% construction, 75% construction documents, CDs, and they'll be submitted to the city for September 12th. They're also still talking about the water tower and AP wireless schedule. because we have all those antennas on the water tower, so we have to schedule out with all of those, providers when we're gonna wrap that.
Did Shannon ever gain any traction on the ability to not pay to be moving those?
That is a good question. I'll have to follow up with Dianera on that. She's been, spearheading that.
Cause I had sent it to Shannon directly, but I looked at the water tower and all those antennas are 4G. And those are gonna be outdated within 5 years, cause everything's moving to a new frequency of technology. And so I was like, $70,000 for something that won't even last 5 years. I don't know if she ever gained traction on that, but it's moving away from those even, and the new antennas are gonna be like a fraction of that size, like a quarter or less.
Okay, yeah, I'll follow up with Dianera about that because I'm not sure what ended up happening with that. So Dianera had updated, the group that 3 of the 4 cell providers have agreed to pay for the staging of the equipment and is working on the plans. Verizon has not agreed to pay for it. And the city administrator has had a meeting with them and AP Wireless recently to discuss the matter. So I don't know if does that somewhat answer your question or no?
Yes and no, like, I feel like there's room, so like, on the type of technology, like, if you think back to like those old, huge, massive dish satellites, like that is an equivalent of what is on our water tower right now. Within 5 years, those will be completely obsolete. So do we have the room right now to kind of future-proof our technology? Like, these companies might like the opportunity to bring a higher grade of technology to the community, and we're already having to take them down. Have we posed that as an opportunity?
Okay,
Because that technology will not be in existence in the next 5 years.
okay, yeah, I will, follow up with her on that. And then Dianera and I met on Monday of this week to go out to residents that their properties are adjacent to Central Park because they're gonna be putting a new fence line in. So basically we just went, it was 5 different houses. And we just asked them if they would like to either keep their fence that they have, and then the fence would just be outside of their fence line, or we can completely replace their fence and the Central Park fence would then be their fence. And then city would maintain the fence.
That's what I would take.
I know, I would too.
Is that what the people wanted?
Majority, so through 2 of the 5 houses, nobody was there, so we just had to leave a letter in our business cards. But the 3 people that we did talk to were saying like, yeah, like, why would I not?
Yeah,
Is that gonna be a cinder block fence?
No, so it's gonna be, a chain link fence, but they're gonna have like the black,
Oh.
like cloth material.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I thought that was slits.
Oh, it might be the slits actually. I have the pictures of it, so I can send you guys what it's gonna look like. Cause we, it was on the sheet that we were showing them of like their property line. It shows what the material was, but I just can't remember if it was cloth or if it was, I think it probably is the,
Yeah, cause
The, like,
that's our last.
yeah. I'll double check on that.
Yeah, looking at
That's
that.
last. Then I would say no.
I would too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's a cinder block,
Yeah.
maybe cut down on noise too.
The only,
Yeah.
I think they had talked about doing a cinder block one, but I forget why. I think it was cost.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it was cost. And then the only other thing that I remember seeing is they were talking about doing a wood fence. But then at that point, it would be the cost of the owner.
Yeah.
So it would be an agreement with each residence,
Yeah.
for them to pay like a certain amount to have a wooden fence put in. So some of the other business that is on here, Dwayne had asked about PCLD's role in construction management for the project. Eric stated that PCLD is contracted for construction administration, but is not qualified to handle the certified payroll and cannot fill the role of CM. which is construction management, answering RFIs. I'm not sure what RFIs are.
Request for information.
Thank you. Answering RFIs, reviewing submittals, site observations, et cetera. So that's what would be under the construction management. And then Eric stated that PCLD would review the past meeting notes regarding the hiring of a construction manager. And Shannon had asked for a budget line item for the inspector, but not for a CM. So, I think the next meeting is after our next Rec and Park Commission meeting. So when they send me the next minutes, I'll just forward the minutes to you guys, so that way you can be updated before the meeting happens. That's pretty much where we're at right now. I know that it's not Parks and Rec related, necessarily, but kind of tangent because of the wrap. The electric bus is supposed to be coming, I think, in like the next month, in the next month or two. So that's exciting.
Yes.
And I had asked Rudy if they had it wrapped already, and I think it was in Santa Maria being wrapped this week, I think, but I don't know if it's coming this month or next month, but it's on its way.
We need an honorary ride.
I know, the first ride, huh?
Goes right
Our
by
judging
my
of
house.
Christmas lights this year, we could take a real one.
Oh, I forgot about it.
I know.
We'll have to come back to that.
I hope that still happens.
I hope so. There's some good ones last year.
Mhm.
It's only gonna get better too. Well, we're getting close to adjournment. Any press comments, any more reports at this time? Look for a motion of adjournment. We have a motion, we need a second.
Okay.
All those in favor of adjourning this meeting at this time, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
This meeting is adjourned. We want to thank you for inviting us to your home this evening.